Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Folk Beats. We have always made an effort to bring you something very unique and very special. Today's program is very interesting and very special because we have chosen an instrument that you might not have seen before. Today we have BORINDO with us. You know, BORINDO was one of the first instruments that were excavated in Mohenjo-daro. And in our show, we have specially invited Fakir Zulfikar Ali to come all the way from Sindh and talk to us about BORINDO. Let's welcome Fakir Zulfikar Ali to our show. Welcome to our studios, Fakir Zulfikar Ali.
How are you?
Grateful to God, absolutely great.
Fakir Sahab, you play the BORINDO. What is a BORINDO?
BORINDO एक मिट्टी
Think of it as a toy. It is an instrument made of clay which originates from Sindh, Mohenjo-daro. It is an ancient instrument. I believe it is the world's first wind instrument that is played by blowing into it.
क्योंकि जो कदीम जो भी
Whatever has been left to us by the ancient inhabitants of Sindh is not technical. So the instrument is made of clay. Even crockery was formed from clay in those
ये
days.
भी इस तरह का है
How is this instrument played?
इसको फूंक दे
It's played by blowing into it. It is a wind instrument. Notes are produced by blowing into the hole.
से जो है ना वो सुर निकलते हैं
How are notes produced? These just seem like holes to me.
During the remote dates, there were just 2 or 3 notes. When my father, Ustad Peer Muhammad Khan, who had also received an honorary award in Pakistan, he used to play BORINDO.
उसके बाद हम अभी बजाते हैं
Now I also play. Initially, only 2 or 3 notes were played.
इसी तरह से बजाते थे लोग
This is how it was played. The inhabitants of Sindh also played. Today, music has 7 notes: Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. Then we also have Tivar Komal notes. There are 2 notes that are unalterable, such as Sa and Pa. The rest of 5 notes are altered to form Komal
पा
Tivar.
है या पा है बाकी जो 5 सुर है उन दोनों को काट के ना तीवर कोमल बनाया हुआ है
So, this instrument can produce 7 notes? Would you like to show us?
Yes, it can. There were only 3 notes produced from this instrument. It was concluded on Sa, Re, Ga, Ma.
What is the difference?
I'll exhibit to you. I was telling you earlier there were 7 basic notes, Tivar Komal, which are formed by altering 5 notes and 2 that cannot be modified. This makes 12 notes. These 12 notes form a scale. Formerly, when played, it would end at Sa, Re, Ga, Ma.
पहले लोग ऐसे बजाते थे तो सा रे गा मा पे खत्म हो जाता था
These were 3 notes. The inhabitants of Sindh would perform this wind instrument in front of those who were rich or at a special occasion. It was often constructed for children as a
बच्चे
toy.
खेलते कूदते उस टाइम में ऐसे मौसीकी के यही होते थे
This instrument is so ancient. It seems like it has existed from the time of Adam and Eve. It can be found in diverse cultures of China, Japan.
जापान में भी है और भी जगहों पे है
It can be found in other countries?
Yes, it can, but it has different names according to the language of region. We address it as a BORINDO, and it originates from Mohenjo-daro. It can be traced back to almost 5,000 to 6,000 years, subsisting in our culture. I presumed we should add more notes to the instrument, so I did some experiments. It can now produce more notes.
का किस्सा है।
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
लोगों ने याद किया।
बहुत
थैंक यू अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।
Friends, we were listening to a magical performance of Borindo by Fakir Zulfikar Ali. The question that arises here is that what exactly is folk? What is the significance of folk in our lives? For that, we invited Imran Nafis Siddiqui to our studios today. Imran Nafis Siddiqui is the founder of Institute of Performing Arts, and he has researched a lot on folk tradition, music, and the lives of folk musicians in Pakistan. Welcome to our studios, Imran.
Hi, Amin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, very well. And thank you for inviting.
Okay, so everyone calls you Akka, and I will
Yeah.
also call you Akka.
That's better actually, it's easy. Yeah.
So, Akka, we were talking about folk tradition and music, and just before you came here, we were listening to Borindo by Fakir Zulfikar Ali. He came from Sindh specially, and I was mesmerized by his performance. And the instrument itself is so unique. It's the first time I was seeing that instrument. And I was just thinking that what is folk music?
I think it's a very difficult question to define folk music. Define folk itself, it's not easy because it's everywhere. And I think it's something which is related to the soil, to the land. And whatever is related to the soil, it's folk or it's indigenous or it's part of that land itself. And I think, like, I do want to add also, like, we don't need to categorize things as such into folk or non-folk or this or that. I think whatever is linked to the soil, it's there. It belongs to the people. It's belong to the emotions of the people. It's belong to the memories of the people, and definitely this region is very rich with the expression of people, and people always find their way to express through a lot of creativity, and it may music or dance or storytelling or theater or circus or puppetry or dances. There's so much. It's always there, and it's also, you could easily, actually, whenever you see any art form, you could easily see if it is coming from the soil or not, or if it is, there could be too much artificiality also, sometimes which people pretend to be, but they are not. But if you see like the folk performing arts, if it is coming from Africa or Europe or anywhere, you could easily get connected because it's from the soil, and from the soil everything is very connected. From whatever the region it's coming from, whatever the culture it's coming from.
So, we're talking in context of Pakistan, something that's so deeply connected to us as well as the soil and land.
Yeah.
How can we forget that? You use the word memories as well. How can we allow something to disappear from our memories?
There is, yes, it happened. It happened across the history, and just not this region, in the world also. Like usually the power structure, which has more resources, it may state, it may the kingdom, it may anything which has more resources, they give patronage to something and ignore the something. It's also about their liking and disliking. So, and things flourish with if they are getting the resources and things. But with us, it happened like somehow, like I think in the last many decades, since the inception of this country, we have this problem of identity, who we are, who we need to connect with, who we don't need to connect with, and because of that also, somehow we lost a lot.
So why do we have that identity crisis? We have such a rich tradition of heritage and indigenous musical instruments, storytelling, folklores. What is happening to us?
There's a culture which organically connect, evolve from the land, and there's a culture which impose. So I will start telling you what to listen, what not to listen. So that also actually disconnect a lot of people. So that happened a lot with us. Sometime, okay, we need to find our linkages from this route or that route, but it's good to actually all the routes are our routes. So I wouldn't say like there's anything wrong to find this direction or that direction, but like if I want to find routes from this direction, that doesn't mean I need to disconnect from these routes which are already there. And that's what people need to understand more and more. In terms of, yes, our indigenous folk performing artist, there's something which I'm more concerned and connected with. And so I've recently started this research study, which is more about like, when we talk about sustainability and preservation and all these things, there are really good terminology and words, and there's a lot need to be done, but it comes down to very basic and simple thing, and that is about human own sustainability. Or in the current day world, we are living in an economic system which only can allow us to be sustained or not to sustain. If I don't have money to eat food, I wouldn't sustain. Like basic, our artists are really struggling with the basic needs of life, like really the food and the shelter. I know people, those who wants to play banjo, I met banjo player in Sindh, but who's doing a plumbing job, but he doesn't want to do a plumbing job. He wants to be a banjo player and just play music. He doesn't want to be worried about his livelihood, but he has to. So there are a lot of people. There are a lot of our indigenous families of musicians. Those like they are not giving it. They are not allowing their children to do the same because there is no livelihood attached to it. So if there is no livelihood attached to it, so how could we really imagine a sustenance or the preservation or the promotion of any art?
What can we do to ensure that artist is well fed? Because I think it's not just the economic reason. There are also social factors attached to it.
Oh no, I would still say economic is social factors attached to it, like how this whole social fabrication is happening. But if somebody who is economically stable, financially stable, will keep on doing music. If someone is also have a financial better status in the society, would do any type of music more easily. But a poor artist, and then the social fabrication wouldn't allow them also. So that I think the financial aspect is definitely important, and for me it's I think we have great artists, great work, and I think the frequency is for me frequency is the solution. So each artist need to perform more and more and more. That's it. And that venues need to be established. And even like privately, independently, collectively, or at a state level, we need to keep on creating more venues for all these artists to keep performing. When they perform, the economy is attached with their performance. So this automatically will come. It's not like we are looking for one festival or two festivals to happen. We need more festivals. We need more concerts. We need regular. Like if I come to even Islamabad, I would know a place to go and watch a performance. But no, it wouldn't be any place here which could provide a daily performance. It's a capital city. Not even in Lahore, not even in Karachi. So like that's a very basic to ask.
There are some melas that try to revive the indigenous forms of music, like Lok Virsa has a Lok Mela. In Islamabad, another organization, Faces, is organizing music mela. In Sindh, we see Lahuti has been doing great work.
Since last decade, 2 decades, yes, I think Lok Virsa Mela is happening, and it should. But these are the melas, these are the festivals, which supposed to be for our time period. What I'm asking about regular. other than festival, at least every weekend, there are places where you can go and find a performance and publicly.
Learn as well.
Yes, all these are very much, and this, yes, the thing is that like most of our our urban and rural divide also, we need to bridge in between. I was actually, we met Tina at Lokvisa, and she was saying really interesting thing, like when our music, and she's doing a great project also to study the history and what happened to the music and musicians here. And she said like, like when our musicians, the urban musicians, started getting connected with the indigenous work, immediately people started like loving it. And that's, which is also a missing link. We need to connect actually between urban and rural.
What about youngsters? They're very happy to learn guitar, but they don't make any effort to learn rubab or saroz or borindo.
I think it's very easy because like they have been exposed to guitar. They haven't been exposed to any of our own instrument. They won't play matka, okay, because they are not yet exposed to.
You have an Institute of Performing Arts. Are you also teaching music there?
Actually, it's a very humble initiative which we started 2 years ago, and it's about, actually the main purpose is about to regularize the teaching process and also institutionalize the teaching process over there. So we started with dance initially 2 years ago. In which we have like a proper curriculum and examination, and our examination is also associated with a board in UK about Kathak and a classical dance form. And then we started like Bollywood dance and hip hop, salsa. Then we started theatre classes, and then we started music also recently. In music we started with vocals. Now we will be going with different instruments also.
Which instruments?
We'll be going with tabla.
Okay.
But like, yes, we might have borindo workshops over there. We might try to bring a lot of such instruments which are also dying to people exposed to, and maybe hosting their concerts and some workshops, and see if like we can also bring some resources to regularize and subsidize classes for such instruments which are dying.
Thank you for coming to our show,
Thank
Akka.
you so very much.
That was a great initiative that you have started, and it was great knowing about different music classes, and
Thank you.
I had no idea that we have such initiatives in Punjab or even in Islamabad.
I think there are a lot of smaller initiatives here and there, but we need to bridge ourselves also together, because it's very challenging work which we all are doing, and I think I really salute to all of them, those who really wants to do something creative in this land.
Thank you. Our younger generation cannot get aware of indigenous forms of music and folk traditions unless they are exposed to it. There are a lot of organizations working on this aspect. One of them is FACE, working in Islamabad, who are trying to organize a lot of melas and making documentaries to expose younger generation to folk traditions and musicians. Today we invited the founder of FACE in our studios, Zija Fazli. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much, Emma. Thank you for having me.
Zija, you have done great work on preservation of traditional music, especially folk music. Can you tell us about your work?
Yeah, well, you've been presenting a lot of artists in the past, and previously, like pre-2014, we were presenting individual artists, but then we thought that it's so much of a work to present something. Why not create a platform in which we can present multiple artists? And so we came up with this idea of holding a festival here in Islamabad called the Music Mela. So the first festival was held in 2014. And so far, I mean, it's an annual festival that's going on, and this year also, inshallah, you'll see on the 21st and 22nd of April, we're holding it again, 2017. But then so far we have presented more than rather exactly 73 artists in that festival since 2014. But that is only on that platform. But if we talk about individually, we've presented, I think, more than 200 artists so far.
Are
which,
they all folk musicians, or you're
not
also
really.
featuring classic music?
We try to keep a very wide spectrum of musicians because we work on promotion of art and promotion of culture at large. But of course, folk is a very important aspect and category. So we try to balance out the genres that we present. So we have folk, we have classical, we have qawwali, we have modern music also, we have contemporary music coming up, we have rock, we have all kinds of genres. So, but then folk is a very important, and I think if I really have to apportion it, I would say nearly 20% to 30% of our content that we present is folk.
And what instruments you're featuring?
All folk instruments, but recently you also mentioned that we work on documentaries. Recently we initiated another project which is capturing and presenting all the endangered instruments of Pakistan, starting from north to south, the whole Indus Valley civilization, instruments that go even 4,000 years ago.
And what are those instruments?
Okay, if I start, we selected 11 instruments for now because it was really hard to claim that these are endangered, because before you make a claim that there's certain instruments is endangered, you have to have a certain research work done and certain organization also endorsing that, yeah, these instruments are endangered. So starting from Hunza, we selected Jorda, and then we went down to Chitral, we have Chitrali Sitar, and then coming all the way, there are a number of instruments like electric banjo from Balochistan, Siroz from Balochistan, Sarinda from KP, then Borindo of course, and then Dadang from Hunza, and then Murli, the bean, snake charmers from Sindh and Punjab. And so, I mean, all spectrum, there are nearly 11 instruments that we selected. And each instrument has a story to tell, and it takes us back to the even prehistoric times, if we go look into the history. But then what we figured out that why these instruments are endangered or dying. I mean, this is what the documentary is about. It is because of us, because of the listener, because of the non-existence of industry, of the music industry. Primary is the listener. A listener makes an industry, and the industry then pulls our heritage and our culture and all these instruments. What is happening is, since there is no listener of these instruments, or very little listener, there is no performer, or very little performer. And since there is no performer, there is no maker of that instrument. And just the last generation is now making those instruments. And once that generation is finished, because an old man who's making an instrument won't want to transfer his art to his kid, because he sees no prospects. He sees that it's not going to make his kid live his life or make his livelihood. So that particular instrument is endangered or dying. So we have tried to capture all the stories of those instrument makers, of those instrument performers, and are showcasing all these instruments in shape of a documentary. And not only that, I feel my friend, colleague, Akka just now mentioned, Imran, that all the musicians have this basic need problem, that food and shelter and all that. And then also he mentioned that we need to work and improve this situation. We need to create opportunities. I would say, instead of we, when we say we generalize everything. We have to say, I need to do it.
Yes.
Each one of us has to say, I need to do it. And so then we can take it from there and we can make a difference. So what we as an organization thought, that not only to preserve those instruments, but also to promote them. And for promotion, what each one of us has to do is to first pay a ticket to go and see a concert, not call our friends that, hey, can I get a free pass? Pay a ticket, because that money is on not only paying for your entertainment and listening good music, but is contributing to eventually the performer who is on stage performing.
Yes.
So that money is going to take care of the livelihood of the musicians and of our industry at large.
But don't you think so that to start the process, we should organize some concerts with very minimal fee or no fee? Like Lok Virsa is organizing a mela that has most of the events at Lok Virsa. They are free entry. We do not charge any ticket for that, and even if there is a ticket, it's very minimal. It's almost nothing. Because we want to initiate the process, and you just said that preservation is the first step of dissemination, which is also our mandate.
Yeah. So I think it's not that there should be no ticket or minimal ticket. I think there should be a reasonably good ticket. If one can buy a pack of cigarette for 100 rupees and buy it daily or something like that, I think it should be reasonably priced, not minimal. It should be a decent price, and somebody has to be there to ensure that that money is equally distributed to the stakeholders, to the business people, to the performers, to the organizations, to the venue makers, so that the industry develops. Because otherwise, I've been to different countries, and I've paid to attend concerts, and there have been concerts who charge $100 for one person. $100 is 10,000 rupees.
Yes.
In Pakistan, and there's an industry, and they are charging. It's a flourished industry in US or in Europe, but they're charging €100, $100, €50, this kind of amount. But over here, even 100 rupee, like for this our festival, we're charging 250 rupees for a day, and in total it's a 500 rupee ticket, valid for both days. So it's 250 for a day. And we are presenting really 25 artists, which includes Ataullah Khani Sakhalvi, which includes Imran Aziz Mia, which includes big names, as well as which includes all the emerging artists from Pakistan. And it's a very wide spectrum. It also includes two of the endangered instruments that we are featuring in our documentary. One of them is Sitar Jogi, who plays the murli, the snake charmer instrument, bean. And the other one is Iqbal Baloch from Balochistan, and he's playing electric banjo. So we're trying to present, and we're trying to contribute to their livelihood, but we also have to see how we can do it. I don't have that much money to hold personally, to hold such a big project. We need support from corporates, we need support from organizations, donors, we need support especially from the people. And when it comes to the people, ticket is the biggest support. If they buy ticket, people buy ticket. Our industry, that's a great leap, great step in our industry, I'd say. Because otherwise we cannot depend on the corporates. Corporates have their own agendas, they want to sell their brand. They don't want to sell music, they want to sell their brand. Donors also have a certain mandate. But directly a businessman, if a business people have, they see some content, they see some also money coming in, they will invest. So they will only invest when there's a circulation of cash, which comes from the people. So I'd like to promote the very first step, which is please pay the tickets to see performances, and then the industry will grow. And then the livelihood of our artists and our endangered instruments, that issue is going to be taken care of.
True. So to preserve an art or an artist, we first have to start from supporting that artist.
Yeah.
Zija, we have some clips from your previous work, events and concerts that you have organized. Is it okay if we play those clips?
Sure. We'd love to share the content and the
You were also
the
mentioning a
videos.
BORINDO concert, some elements where you presented BORINDO.
Yeah. Well, so far not particularly, but in the coming presentations that we will have will feature Borindo, but presently I don't think we have featured Seroz, and I said Murli and electric banjo, but particularly Borindo not yet. But as soon as we do, we'll definitely share that clip.
Let's play a few clips that you have brought for us, and then we will come back and I want to talk more about your journey of discovery of folk tradition and folk music.
This is a way to educate young musicians, educate the general public. Pakistan music industry needs a real boost right now, and this is exactly the boost that Music Mela is giving it.
Inshallah, Pakistanis will take back the control of their country and the music and the art scene, and this is a good, exciting step.
Promoting music and connecting cultures, bridging cultural gaps. That's what this is about. Let the music begin.
We have musicians coming down from all parts of Pakistan, and not only that, we have musicians coming from US and Poland, so it has become international. This was all possible because of the very energetic Face team.
कई सालों पहले जब मैं कराची से इस्लामाबाद आया था तो मैं सोचता था कि यहाँ पे कैसे ज़िंदगी गुजरेगी, बट नाउ इन द फॉर्म ऑफ म्यूजिक मेला यू सी दिस इज हाउ वी सेलिब्रेट लाइफ.
Music Mela was one of the most fantastic experiences of my time here in Pakistan, and to see thousands of Pakistanis every night coming out to cheer on their favorite bands and enjoy Pakistani culture and to enjoy American bands along with them.
This is our first time playing this original music outside of the US, so it's really, really special that Pakistan and Music Mela are the first places that we're doing that.
से कब सनम तुम चले आओ पहाड़ों की कसम तुम चले आओ पहाड़ों की कसम
उस्ताद फतेह अली खान साहब फेस फाउंडेशन की तरफ से हम उनको एक लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड प्रेजेंट करना चाहते हैं.
I just feel greatly honored to be a part of this music mela organized by FACE.
Okay, so that was great work that FACE has been doing. Let's get back to the documentary that you were talking about. You traveled all over Pakistan. Tell us about that travel and...
Well, unfortunately, I did not have this opportunity to travel all across Pakistan. It was my colleague and friend Areeb Azhar, because it always is a teamwork, and I feel my responsibility is more, being the founder of this organization, is more to make it sustainable and find opportunities and find resources to make things happen, which includes not only this documentary that we're going to talk about, but also our music festival. And also we do another project, we do another festival on films, it's called Face Film Festival. And then we do another project in which we take Pakistani, especially traditional artists from Pakistan to US, and there's a big festival in US called South by Southwest. And we present a Pakistan showcase over there. And so far we have presented 60 artists from Pakistan in that festival, which includes Maidhai also, which includes Mikal Hassan Band and Haroon and whatnot, lots of them. So coming back to the documentary, I did not travel because I was arranging for the resources and the management of the project, and then Areeb was actually traveling. He was the lucky guy who was traveling all across Pakistan, and my another partner organization, which is called Bipolar Films, Jawad Sharif is the founder of that organization. He's a filmmaker, so he was traveling along with Areeb and along with the crew also. So they started from Hunza and traveled all the way to Sindh, interior Sindh and Balochistan and everywhere. And we're meeting all these musicians and instrument makers and documenting them, making videos and also talking with them about their experiences and their problems. And so when they came back, of course, my job in this project is to look into the documentation, because we have to report to our supporters who are paying for this documentary. So I go through the documents, what they did, and see the clippings, what happened, how was the experience. So, but then Areeb would be the best person to tell the direct experience that he had. But we've been listening to great stories. I mean, how they found that how difficult it is for the musicians to survive, let alone when talk about the music to survive. Let's now get down to the roots, which is how difficult it is for a person to survive in those areas where they're living. They don't have food or shelter, and yet they are playing the instrument, yet they're making those instruments. And we as an organization feel that we have to present them to the world. Once the documentary is made, we'll present it to different festivals and make those people known, those instruments known in the industry, so that those experimental music which has been done all across the world, they might pick up that sound probably. That's our wish and the purpose, that they should pick up those instruments and those sounds and revive them and use them in the contemporary music that is going on. Just like Coke Studios now, they presented Sagar Veena by Ali Noor's in one of the Ali Noor's performance. That's also an instrument which is quite endangered.
I understand the part where there is a huge need of supporting artists or families who are playing an instrument. But don't you think so we are putting too much burden on those families? What are our youngsters doing? Shouldn't people like you or me also start learning instruments like Chang or Borindo?
Yeah, I do play an instrument. I play guitars, and learning an instrument is a lifelong experience because I'm sometimes a perfectionist. So if I have to do something, I would actually really get into it.
Why didn't you choose a different instrument? Why guitar?
I was not frankly exposed to these instruments.
And it's not just you. A lot of youngsters these days, They prefer learning contemporary instruments and they do not focus on indigenous instruments.
And also because you're so used to listening to those sounds, every time you turn on your radio or your CD or MP3 or whatever, you're used to listening to those sounds, and those sounds are coming from your favorite artist, like either Western or Eastern. So hence, what we're trying to do is let our favorite artists use those instruments or those sounds so that the general public gets accustomed or tuned to those tunes and those tonality. And then the youngsters will start listening to, because it's undiscoverable at the moment. The young youth cannot access this kind of treasure at the moment. We feel as an organization to make it accessible to the youth. That's our responsibility. And then youth has a very easy, you can say, mindset. They're very easy to harness. And so if you present them something nice and something glamorous, I think they will immediately pick up. Or something trendy, you know, if you see something on these days Facebook, oh, I have 10,000 likes, oh, I have 1 million likes. 1 million likes, you start also liking it and start looking into it. What is into this thing, you know? So we have to make things more presentable, make the packaging really nice so that the youth can take it.
So exposure is the first step of preservation.
Yeah, and presentation and exposure. We, as those who are responsible for this or feel responsible for this, nobody is responsible for anything, but who feel responsible for this, have to package it, present it, and that's what we are doing at FACE.
Thank you for coming to our studio, Zija. But before you leave, I want to play another mesmerizing performance of Fakir Zulfikar Ali for you.
I'd love to see that.